I think that's from Patty. I think that's from the across the hall. I don't know. I think it was in here before Keegan. Seeing this notebook was on this table here, so I don't know whose that is.
Do you think anybody's gonna come up to the podium and speak? Okay.
I don't have any idea.
All right.
What's
Well, we'll
what,
move it around. I'll get up and.
do as you see fit.
Yeah.
Probably Keegan.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I really was spot right there for Ian. I think he's gonna be about 9:15 get here, so. Hey, Doris.
One of the fun days.
It is hard to kind of get my fucking ring on. Come on in. Probably a bad one. Maybe need to turn that off.
It flipped.
It did?
Good morning.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what took it? A warrant or what?
No, I just remember now that it just finally, it hit me. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Figured it took a warrant for him to quit. I can't even go to glass minutes, I can't. I had one question that we want to be on. Don't let this be with one, we build a full on vacation. Where's one from? Golly. People on vacations every day. This is my example, I look for it's not. Oh. Like those zero sugars. I can't, oh. Best friend drinks those, I think those are awful. Hello? Yes.
So you interacting with Pam last night, or was it yesterday? Was it yesterday? You fired up, ain't you? I appreciate that. Clarity on things.
They didn't see us.
I'm gonna get me some new glasses. You see that?
Yeah.
That's fix flat. It will wreck the paradise.
I mean, it's those cords.
Where'd you get them last week? So much that's why. It's a shame. I run a copy for that. Yeah, it's nothing else. That's. My glasses have so much junk on them. I gotta go through. Like, I don't sometimes know. I was telling Cliff, this is fix a flat. Got on my glasses, it'll wreck them. I'm talking about wreck them. Trying to fix my $80 lawnmower tire and wrecked out a $400 pair of glasses, probably. Yep. I didn't know.
Yeah.
How many pairs of glasses do you have?
Probably 75 or 80. A bunch.
Had some bling bling on his last week. Where you go home? I've been up since midnight. Trying to figure it out.
This one. This one. Don't get them all mixed up. This one. This one.
Is this a set?
Yeah.
Is this what we're looking at over here?
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can't see that.
Morning, Judge.
Morning.
Richard told.
So all these, there's just stuff that you recognize that it's way over.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be the same. This is how much you increase the budget. Alcohol. There's one, here goes a or something, they also give me percent for some.
That's the market that's in.
But you also, so adults and they should.
$25,000.
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
All right, are we ready to begin? I'll call this meeting to order at 9:07 a.m. on what is today, Tuesday, September the 9th. This is the budget workshop, and this is a follow-up from our budget workshop on Friday. And I've distributed the numbers from those changes last night and posted it online as far as where we're at on the budget workshop, on the proposed budget for fiscal year 26. And as we approached Wednesday, or actually Friday, we were at a deficit of $3.5 million and from our estimated revenue. And we worked from the changes we made on discussed on Friday. We are down to $1.973 million that we need to make adjustments for. So is there any comments that anybody would like to make?
Yeah, I'd like to make one comment, Judge. I wanted to just point out there seemed to be some confusion about how the process worked yesterday in some of the social media. And when we talk about a $3.5 million deficit or a deficit at all, that's not a deficit between spending and projected revenue. That is a deficit between what I would consider the combined departments wish list for this year. So they submit a budget and then we learn later what the projected revenue is. And so it's the difference between what their desired budget is and what our projected revenue is, correct?
That's correct. And what we have set as salaries and the things that we agreed to before we knew what the revenues were going to be.
Right. And so it's not necessarily a deficit. It's I guess for lack of a better word, it's just a difference between what we would like to see in our budget this year and what money we actually
That is correct.
And so we have an option. We can either go into the hole and spend more money than we have projected as revenue, or we can look at cuts to what their desired budgets are and try to bring those within what we believe our project. can I ask one question that came up? And why do we do it the way we do it? Why do we go ahead and have all the department heads provide their desired budget before we know what our projected revenue from this? That's just, is there a statutory reason for that?
There's no statutory reason, but it's to give us a head start on trying to figure that out because we did not get our tax rate information until August 7th. And if we waited until then, that would put us in a big time crunch to try to go through and get all the feedback from all the different departments.
Was that different this year than in years past? Or?
It was a little bit different, yes, a little bit later than normal. But I think we usually get it around August 1st or so. But it and part of the complication to this matter is what happened last year when we went through the whole process and we budgeted based on a certain rate that we anticipated having. And then at the last minute, and we budgeted for that, and it was almost $2 million increase in from the prior year budget. And then the decision was made to stick with our old rate and not go with the rate we are anticipating. And that put us about $1.5 million to $2 million further in the hole.
Okay.
So that is what we're trying to recover from this year. Is
that was a mistake by doing that.
I would consider that a mistake, yes.
I would too.
But I'm pretty sure that the proposed budget is usually filed in the first office by July 31st.
The proposed budget, that is the requirement, and we filed what we had information for.
And it's usually.
And we used last year's tax rate, and we were still trying to put together because the situation with the auditor's department not having an auditor. I was learning this whole process and learning how to put it all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can say that I know a lot more about it now than I did 8 weeks ago when it all started. And I feel, much more confident in the numbers we're presenting today, although, confident that they're accurate anyway in that regard. And there's confusion in a lot of people's minds, or in my mind anyway, about what's called fund-based accounting. And you have different funds and you try to do your budget by fund. And I chose not to do that this year, but rather just basically put all the expenses in one sheet and the revenues in a sheet. And those I pulled out some of the revenues that are dedicated to certain funds, or not revenues, revenues and the expenses, because they don't. We have the money, and the money's allocated to that, and so that doesn't need to be in our expense budget at this point. All that I put in here is the items from all the different departments on their expenditures, and as you see on the sheet, it comes up from all the departments right around $20,824, which that's the requested budget as of this moment. Last year, and to give you an example, last year the same departments requested $20,457,075. Okay, and to give you an indication, the revenue from last year was about 18 million. So that kind of tells you where we're at in that regard. So, any further questions?
Yes, I have one, and this may not be the correct time to ask it, but y'all can tell me if not. To simplify that, could we not take the year before budget,
The current year,
like the 25 budget,
Right.
and add 3.5% to everybody's budget? And it come out correct or close? Because we can do the 3.5.
Okay.
And we've got people asking, including myself, for 16% more.
Here's the deal. last year's budget of all departments, was $20,457,075.
Yes, sir.
Our revenue this year is 19 million.
Right.
So we don't have enough for any 3% increase.
Right,
Right.
if
We'd have to, everybody'd have to cut this current year's budget a little
About
bit,
30%.
but
To
not
make it
quite,
work.
not quite that much.
Yeah.
How does that work, Judge? We're supposed to, the maximum we can go up is 3.5% on revenue. Correct?
yeah, we go by the rate that we're given by the tax assessor or the appraisal district.
So if the maximum that we can go up is 3.5%. And we took the voter approval rate this year at 29 cents. How come we went down when we had when we could have gone?
I think our
I'm
projected
confused
revenue is
here.
1.5 million higher
Yeah,
than,
our projected revenue is $1.5 million higher than last year.
which represents the 3.5%, but you got new.
Well, I may not be very smart, but if our revenue was, what I said was 20 million, it's 18 this year.
No, 19, so he's
It's 1971, and that is after taking 25% of that revenue and giving it to Road and Bridge.
Oh, okay. So I was like, well, how are we lower than we were
Yeah.
last year when we go up 3.5%? Okay,
Right.
you just answered my question.
Right. So we have that. Let me see if I've got it. Here's revenue. There's no Road Bridge. No, I didn't load it.
Judge, can I ask you for a question?
You may.
Do y'all take into consideration in this budget what every department is giving back? What they didn't spend out of this budget? Or
No,
do y'all not consider that?
We
No.
can't, because it's not given back yet.
Well, it could be another
And you've actually still got, what,
month.
yeah, you've got a month, but that's come across my mind too, but
Judge?
If we're giving money back, and not use it, it is a projection, just like the projection you're using now.
Right.
So, I mean,
But nobody's told us their projections, like, hey, I'm gonna give approximately blank back in this department, this department, this department.
I mean, we could do that. I thought maybe that's what we're gonna do here today, is all the money's ideas on what we can do. That's why I'm here to help try to figure this out. I do have a question. What's our proposed tax rate this fiscal year?
29 cents
29 cents. And
plus
is that-
plus
is
the
that-
10-cent road.
Is that the voter approval rate?
Yes.
Going up 3.5%.
well, it doesn't work out to be 3.5% because of all the different formulas and calculations that they put into it. But yes, that is the theory. That is 3.5.
The reason we're so far behind is because last year we were elected to go with a lesser tax rate than it could have in the
Yeah.
voter approval rate.
That is correct.
Kept the same tax rate.
Which was basically the
That's
known
23,
revenue rate.
So the 5% increase we got last year is really gonna be at 2.5% last year and this year. If you wanna break it out the way, we are talking about no raises for the employees this year.
We haven't gotten that far. Right now, we're still at 3%. A 3% increase.
So what I'm hearing, what I heard from you last week, and I've heard from you this morning is, there's no way that the county's gonna be able to pay it. Am I wrong?
Yeah, we're talking, we haven't got down to, we're talking broad generalities. We're macro, we're not to micro. And to me, that's, we're not looking at those individual line items. We're talking generally about the budget and some concepts that I think this should have been in the front of these are horse matters, and we've been talking about cart matters, and we've, in my mind, we've gotten them a little bit backwards, but we have to, based on what Susan's saying, you got to put a projected budget by the end of July. You don't find out what your potential revenue is until August. That in no wise does that make a bit of sense?
It's government.
But you all said the tax rate is high, you could.
That is correct. That we, and
Whatever just was, it's not a size, it could be due to the decisions made last year.
that is correct. Because we went with the no new revenue rate, then we've artificially, we set the boundary or the lower on what it would be this year.
And who are the commissioners? For the That Brad, Pearson, Martin,
Those were the three that, yes.
we didn't have 1 and 2, correct, at that time?
Uh,
I don't know. I don't think two was here.
So we had 3 out of 4.
So, and to go back, the 3% increase on the county is a total of 322,000 plus the additional benefits that you pay on top of that. So it's a total of 377,499 that we would recover if we did not do the 3% increase. The problem with not doing the 3% increase is we have already posted in the paper and we have approved the elected official salaries at 3% increase. In order to remove that, we would have to repost that and we would have to do a 10-day notice in the paper. And then we would also have to start over on the grievance committee with the setting of a date for a grievance committee hearing if we should change the 3%.
All that stuff notwithstanding, I think the folks of Van Zandt County that work here, that do that slog through every day, I'm not gonna consider it.
I'm against not the three, I am for the 3% raise. I am for that. Somehow, I feel like we need to figure that out.
So you're for the 3% raise, even if we don't have the money.
Well, I think we've got to figure something out.
So if you can figure something out, we're for it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think that's what keeps our employees. I think that if we just sit here, can I say stale?
Yeah.
Then our employees are not gonna stay with us. I think we're gonna be training new employees every time we turn
And
around.
I agree. And
And
I think we're all in agreement on that.
And it's not even the cost of the.
no, 3% doesn't. It's not.
Everything's
No. No. Yeah, and I agree. I feel like that the employees I have, sure, they'd love to see another 5%. But it's not there, and I think we're squeezing out of getting 3%. If we can.
And they will be appreciated.
Oh, I think they will. They will. Mine have said that they appreciate what they get, but I think that there's a way that I've been up since midnight looking at this and thinking, trying to figure out and I think.
We would all love that, but we can't do it.
Yeah.
So I mean.
It may come down to us having to do this 10-day deal and not do the 3%, but I'm gonna be totally against it all the way. That they're gonna have to pull it out of it,
Well, but the issue is this, and this is what I think perhaps the state legislature doesn't really consider, is that when house values go up, when the real estate market begins to boom as it did for 3 or 4 years there from 20 to 24, the prices go up, we are limited to 3.5%. And then when those prices fall back down and now the appraisal district is valuing these houses lower, now we're even curtailed more. We're curtailed and then our curtailment is curtailed. So we have less to work with this year than we had to work with last year. Our tax rate went down over the last 5 or 6 years from 60 some cents to what?
39.
So
It's 58 cents in 2020.
Yeah, well, 2021, it was 58%.
So it
42 and
went
52%.
60 cents on the $100 valuation to 40 cents on the $100 valuation. And but you know what, our bread and milk and gasoline, those things didn't go down. You can't, a third.
You're saying that they value people's houses lower.
They are. It's all over the place. It's all over the map.
There are some,
It's erratic.
there are some that were 20-30% lower.
I have several properties. I'm not bragging, but you know, and some of them went up, some of them come down.
There's no consistency
There
with
is
the
none,
appraisals.
none whatsoever. Yeah, and you know, so if right in, it's not just in one precinct that they did it, it's countywide. Because I've got, all of mine are in precinct 3, and some went down and some went up. You know, and it made no sense. Well, so I've got houses on all of mine, and some of them went up, some went down. So there's no,
But countywide, it did go down. Countywide, we're looking at less, and it's because the market reflects, you know, less. There are houses that are staying on the market quite a bit longer at higher prices because they just missed that sweet spot to sell.
Where that proposed reservoir was gonna be, it went down 28% on average. Property values went down. I had one woman call me and she said her property value went down $400,000. I think that it equated to about $50 million worth of revenue. I mean, not revenue, but appraised value, which would have probably been about $1.5 million worth of taxes. Total.
yeah, it's hard for me to understand how many new houses we have in the county. Why did our,
How come that property went down over there where they were gonna move proposed to the lake?
Nobody wants to answer that question. But
It
it's
is answered.
pretty clear. You know,
What they use.
eminent domain. I don't know that. It's just, you know, you wonder why that would happen, like in one spot. And then it is all over the county. I mean, like Brandon said, his neighbor's property and his property are almost exact, right? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, separated by a fence, and I've got road frontage, and mine went down and mine went up. And the property right next to me, the same land, it's just separated by a fence, went down. Makes no sense at all.
All right, on the screen is a letter that the appraisal district sent to the city of Canton about property tax values for this current year. And this shows you all the different ISDs. I'm trying to figure out how to get to make it bigger.
Right up at the top, it's plus.
There we go.
Thank you.
They change it up on. Well, come on. Okay, so these are all rated on ISD, so you can see what the change in property tax values were on different ones. Canton went up, and Brownsboro and Edgewood went up, and everybody else either stayed the same or went down. Actually, I think Martin's Mill went down almost 15%, and Grand Saline went down 16%. So that was the letter that the appraisal district sent to the city of Canton. So that affects our property values, and that affects the revenue that we generate.
And that's why the superintendent of Grand Saline High School was,
Pretty adamant.
yes, sir.
16.8% in Grand Saline.
Martin's Mill surprises me,
Yeah.
because that land,
My understanding was it was one big property sale, one large sale that caused that.
Where do you have?
we got $1.9 million that we gotta cut.
Tell us what you as a group already decided is,
Well, we have
We-
already,
we all already decided.
okay, I have a list. Because trust me, I was doing it in Excel and I have learned that. In fact, actually, I got everything done and I hit the save button and my computer locked up. And I had to do it again. So, and again, these are minimal or maximum. Legal, we went down 25,000. Consulting, we went down 50,000. Autopsies, 10,000. Subdivision, 8,000. Economic development, we went down 35,000. The volunteer fire departments, we had agreed to raise them 44,500. We cut that, and so it's back to the same. I'm just going to give you the big ones. Emergency management, we cut the 25,000 auto purchase. That's actually a transfer. I can't read. County court at law 415. Oh, we actually increased that after talking to Judge Winters by 25,000. That is indigent legal defense. We actually had to increase that because, and I have the most recent financials for every department if anybody wants to go into that. The district attorney 7,500 on a capital outlay to paint the building. The auto allowance 4,100 down, and transcripts down 3,000. IT, talking with Scott after we cut all of the different positions. He said it's about 35,000 in equipment purchases that would have been required for the new employees. I cut that down. Public buildings, cut electricity by 10,000. Public buildings, I cut 300,000 out of courthouse improvements. Public buildings, I cut 50,000 out of machinery and equipment purchases. Public buildings, I cut 3,500 off of office rentals. Most all these. The sheriff's office, we cut $530,000 out of new vehicle purchases. Fire marshal, we cut 3,000 out of vehicle repair and 60,000 out of the vehicle purchases. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's the majority of it right there.
What was it total?
Well, don't have that. There's some bigger ones. Let me get them, the bigger ones. Also, this is the auto, public buildings, all those together was about close to 2 million or 1.4 million, 1.5 million, because we went from 3.5 to 1.9. But I mean, those are the easy cuts, you know, to get where we wanted to go. We still have, you know, it's that last part that is going to be. We also cut the new positions that we cut, that we had initially agreed upon, and we cut was 290,000 plus insurance 44,000. So that was a total new position cut of $335,228.
But we kept the civil attorney and
Nuisance clerk,
what
nuisance officer.
what about Bobby brought this up a while ago, the DPS officer?
We're obligated to provide,
Obligated.
and it's not an officer, it's a clerk. Clerk. Yeah, we're obligated by the state to provide that.
Those additional amounts that you mentioned, those are included as 1.4 million?
Yes. No, all of that came up to the 1.4 million.
So we gotta cut today $2 million.
Pretty close to that. And that is just to get us at an even level. I have no contingency calculated in this amount, which that last year was started out at $1 million. And that's already been cut from these expenses. It's just kind of an add-on.
And basically, the only thing that Road and Bridge could do would be to lower their percentage.
That would be the only thing to help the general budget, because that is the only thing that's
And the reason I say that is because I don't want y'all to think that we're asking y'all to do everything and we're not doing anything. Like,
But at the same time, I had asked for quite a bit more for my road material because my precinct is absolutely the worst as far as roads.
amen.
When you get 100, 200 phone calls a day, you know, and it's all about the roads. They don't want to talk about nothing over here. They just want to talk about the roads. Then at the same time, I cannot give up any of mine. And I know that's being selfish or whatever, but I feel like that, you know, the road condition's not my fault. But at the same time, I'm the one that they're depending on to change it. So,
Well, the
I couldn't-
situation is, you can't fix the problem with the
Yeah.
budget you have.
no, I can't. I can't, but at the
No.
same time, I mean, if I gain, you know, I don't even think 20 years I could change it
Mhm.
to correct everything in my precinct. But if I gain 2 or 3 miles a year extra, that's noticeable to my people. You know, and when we're only talking about 9 or 10 miles of road a year is all I can do. And I got 250 or 280, whatever it is. There, it's a losing battle. But at the same time, I want to give my people all of the whatever you call it to get better. I want to do better for them. And if it's 3 miles a year, then I don't want to lose that 3 miles a year.
Oh,
I'm for you.
Commissioner Curtis, why is yours so high? Why is your budget higher than theirs?
My budget's not that much higher than theirs, is it?
Here is the budget right here, and let me, the road and bridge is treated, everything is moved off into their own accounts. Everything is held separately because the road tax money is allocated to them and it can't be spent for anything else. And so then we move 25%. What you got right here is, this was the total amount, 19 million right there. Then we take out transfers, and reason for that, the special road tax, the way the appraisal district comes out, it calculates it at, it's 9.77. Well, we charge 10 cents. Everybody gets charged 10 cents. So there's a deficit there that has to come out of the general fund to make that 10 cents up over there. So that's what that we take that out. So the total amount available for the general budget is 18 million, close to 19, right at 19 million. Then we take 25% of that right there, that 4,776,000 goes straight to the road and bridge. That's that number in green right there is this number down here in green right there. So then on the and it's allocated to each precinct, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then we got on the special road tax revenue right there, well, those are the two, is this the 5,876,000. That's down over here. So the money that comes from the general budget, the 25%, gets allocated to each precinct on these formulas right here. I don't know who came up with these numbers right here. I don't believe it. Oh, it's based on road miles. I'm sorry. It's based on the percentage of road miles. So that's how that gets. And then this money over here, this percentages right here, were calculated by a previous commissioner's report and hasn't been revised since I've been here. But those are the amounts. It kind of falls along the same lines right there. But anyway, that's how the 5 million road tax, 5.8 million road tax, and the 4.7 million in the general fund get allocated to each precinct, and there's the total for each precinct right there. Yeah, let me see.
So why do you think mine's so much higher?
I thought, when I was just looking at Commissioner's Court, I thought yours was the highest.
So you just want
No.
to revise your statement?
I just want to know what you asked me for.
And the problem is, we can cut our budget, but it just goes into our general fund. The only way that we can help the county is we have to go down in percent.
See, and then the other thing too, and that goes down to here, this part. They had opening balance. Again, the road and bridge does not, their money doesn't go away if they don't spend it. So they carry a balance into the next year. So
But we can't
from the
use it
previous
for a
year.
year. Am I right?
unless you have it in contingency,
Yes.
unless you have it budgeted in contingency.
But your leftover, like my leftover this year can't go into contingency, it has to go into the fund balance which I cannot move out of
Not
fund
unless
balance
you
for a
budget.
year.
Not
it's a year, that's what I was told.
I was told it was a year too.
Well, I don't know what that, again, all I know from Sandy was this fund balance right here needs to be at a minimum of $150,000 to, at the end of the year. So those are the fund balances projected, oh, that was the old one. Here's the new one up here in yellow is the projected amounts right there. So it said we started at 1.9, and I relied on getting this from the auditor's department, these balances right here, what they're gonna be at the end of the year.
And
So
this is based
they could
on-
change, they
This-
could possibly change.
This is based off if we used every single penny.
I'm gonna be real close.
But we can't help the total budget unless we lower our 25%.
Correct.
Right, because any changes we make into their budget just merely changes it from an expense to the ending balance. Okay, because it doesn't go back into the general fund. And then I did the calculation down here. This one, it just doesn't let me. You can barely see it down there, but it's got at 25, right now at 25%, it's 4.7 million. At 24%, it's 4.5 million, and then going all the way down to 20%. So the 25% has been the same rate since I've been county judge, but which is 2023. But at some point before it was lower. It was 23%. I didn't go back any further to see how far that is.
Can I say something?
You may.
This for auto purchases, we came into the sharing purchase and going into the same budget last year.
Right.
And as far as this year, let's do the new. The auto purchases, that number didn't change from last year. And the reason we're needing new vehicles was as we've increased the number of deputies out there. And one of the things as the sheriff also has to consider these vehicles have plus these deputies and we don't want them to be liabilities. Because we have to make sure that they're safe. They put a lot of miles on entry policy. You know, the rotation of these vehicles is not your normal as a citizen crime that you not just drive by regular personal vehicles. I mean, these are a lot of hard miles. Historically, in my experience, once a vehicle in pursuit of a police vehicle hits 100,000 miles, we start looking at trying to change them over just because of public safety. With it, and also about the operating status. We also have to consider about public safety. These vehicles going out of control or something, if we don't have the operating these vehicles, it's how we do this. And we also assume that's what we always try to rotate vehicles down. I think just with that number, maybe what should be about 5 vehicles. And with the increased amount of deputies, I mean, that's going to increase the usage of these vehicles. As far as control is now charging, so I just want everybody to consider from our standpoint what this could do. I mean, just at what we're looking at, because not only will we put in new equipment, but we also have to think about the public safety, not only the deputies, but also the public.
Yeah, I didn't like the idea of cutting that all out. That's my personal opinion. I just thought it was I know it's a big chunk and it makes it easier for us to find, not have to cut somewhere else, but I don't want to cut all of it.
But there again, just like you asked me, was I willing to, keep that even though we didn't have the money?
Well, and we have come such a long way when, when I first started and we didn't have but 2 deputies patrolling the county at a whole time. And the other night, 3 a.m., I was listening to the radio came on and the dispatcher asked how many officers were out there and she said 3. at 3 a.m. in the morning. You know, that's unheard of in the past. And I was just so proud that we are able to do that. But it comes at a cost in order to do that. And what I'm trying to avoid is what happened to this county 20 years ago or 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Okay, when they over budgeted on revenue and the revenue didn't come in, the expenses were there, and we ended up going out for certificates of obligation to make payroll. We were borrowing money to make payroll. And that's where the situation we're going to be in if we don't make heavy cuts right now.
Well, just to reply to Bobby, there's a difference between giving a raise or having an officer in a vehicle that might not be what it should be. Don't you think? I mean, is that
I
clear?
don't disagree with you, but at the same time, if we don't give the raises, we're not gonna have the officer.
I think we gave some pretty significant raises in the past, like in
Last year, they got 5%.
Oh, before that, what about before that?
Before that, it was much more.
Yeah, so
we
I think
we realigned the whole pay structure.
so I know that. So I'm saying that there were some pretty significant raises given in the last 3 or 4 years.
We're still not caught up there, though.
I understand that.
That's
But
what
we're talking about a tough year. We're fixing to have a tough year.
But we're retaining our officers.
exactly.
You know, Judge Martin asked a question earlier. Judge Martin said, well, what are we doing here? And, and that's,
Yeah, we haven't answered it.
I
We walked
will-
all around it.
but so my answer is this, and I said it the other day, rather than the commissioner's court cutting 15% out of everybody's budget. If you think that cars are a priority, and I tend to agree with you, then we need to fund 15% somewhere else in everybody's budget. And those department heads that are not here, we will make those decisions for them, but the department heads and the elected officials that are here, that's what we're asking from you is how do you get 15% reduction from the original, this is what we would like to see in our budget this year. We'd like for you to make, I can't say we, but I would like to know what your solution is for a 15% reduction from what your ask was originally.
I mean, how many vehicles do y'all have at your barn that are just sitting, pickup trucks? They're just sitting there, they're not being drove. Y'all get what, $17,000 vehicle allowance a piece per year? They're 70,000.
15.
Or 15, I'll be 15,000, there's still 60, 65, $70,000. There's gotta be a vehicle that's just there, there's 70,000 if you drop back. Y'all drive a vehicle at y'all's barn.
I don't have a problem with that at all, but there's reasons that is in the past caused that to happen.
Okay, but
that's not
mean a
meaning-
vehicle that's gonna be driving on county roads every day. Y'all drive those vehicles to the courthouse, or to y'all's work.
I drive mine every day anywhere I go.
Okay, well, I know.
You know, I'm not one,
Partners just sitting there.
I'm not one to take the vehicle that I'm getting the 15,000 a year allowance on to the barn and park it and get in one of them and drive it. I drive mine everywhere I go. I drive
I
mine,
understand.
you know. Now it may not be that way everywhere, but that's the way it is with me, because I feel like that if I'm gonna get that money, I should use my vehicle. You know, now if they wanna do away with that, I'll drive one of them over.
Cutting vehicle, but.
Right.
For the.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But even if we do that, it won't be on the.
It won't affect-
It won't affect the general fund because of that, because we're separate from y'all. Like we have to do something with the 25%.
So everybody can justify why they need this, and I agree. I mean, so all of it can be justified, but we're gonna have to sit here and make the tough decisions on what we're gonna do. And I don't wanna do this, but I don't wanna get in trouble 2 years down the road with the county. I think I'm the only one. We have to look at the percent on this road, because that's a big chunk. We have to. I'm not saying I want to. I don't want to give up any. I mean, I'd love to get all the roads we can. But if we don't have the money, we don't have the money.
Can I ask, what's the cost to pay a mile?
It depends on
How you do it.
1 and 3.
Can you give a median?
It cost me about, $90,000 a mile.
And for me to come in and grind it and mix oil with it and relay it is about 60.
And that's not rebuilding a
But-
road. That's
but
just
now-
it's a
Well, no, it's,
short-term patch.
no, that should, if you, well, this is what's fixing to make the difference, what I'm fixing to say. It cost me 60,000 to grind it, mix oil with it, do it all right, lay it back. It's probably a 5-year road. To get more out of it than that, then I have to come back and chip seal it, which the cost of that right now is 28,000 a mile. So I'm at that 80,000 by the time I get it finished.
I think in 1 and 3, it's 75. I think you'd be real close at 75,000 a mile, 75 to 80,000. And Brandon, you putting 2 inches on the surface, about 2 inches?
Yeah, and that's including seal coating too.
I don't know how you're doing it for that. I think it's more than that, but I don't know that. I'm just saying like it's $2,500 a load for cold mix.
We've
And
calculated,
isn't that right? Is it about 2,500? Wouldn't you say it's $2,500 a load?
For the oil?
it
No,
is,
for
Oh, yeah,
Cold mix.
yeah.
It just it's I'm saying it's safe for me to pull subgrade, open culverts, grind the road, put concrete in it. I'm talking about crushed concrete, 2 or 3 inches. That stabilizes it, and then put a chip seal. It's about 75.
I've got a deal going right now where we're doing 1,500 foot with a contractor, but it's a guy that's paying himself, and for 1,500 foot, it's 114,000 with contractors doing it.
I just did a 6-mile road,
Yeah.
2 inches thick and seal coated. It cost me $91,000.
Judge Martin, do you think it's possible to do 15%? You think there's 15% in your budget? I'm sure you're running a pretty tight ship.
Well, what I submitted was a 4% reduction anyway, so another 15, so.
That puts you,
20% touch, but look, can I address the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking.
Which one?
We're talking about the big one, it's not Paul Michael.
Okay.
Talk about the big $4 million elephant. Okay. And we don't need to talk about roads, we don't need to talk about sheriff's office, these are all mandated things that the commissioner's court, county government has to fund. You've got to fund the sheriff's office, you've got to fund the road and bridges. Those are fundamental mandates. That you
Right.
have to meet. And then you have all these other things that you
Yeah.
already cut, right?
Yeah, well, it's not in the law.
But let's don't talk about cutting the sheriff's office, talk about reallocating the roads, let's talk about. You got how much money in contingency right now that you all set aside to buy the ball, $4 million?
Well, there's nothing in the budget right now. We have nothing in there.
there was a plan.
But October 1st is gonna be what? To have the ability to pay $4 million.
$4 million, and that was
So scratch that.
basically come out of
Scratch
the
that.
fund balance.
Scratch that. Okay, I'm a big proponent of the Paul Michael building. I would love to have it.
But it's not in the budget right now.
Talking about from October 1.
Yeah, it's not in next year's.
So
budget
even
at all.
Not
We
included.
haven't put it in there.
so
I'm
we
saying you have $4 million available. The rest of this deficit, if you take them.
No,
Paul Michael building.
we're not,
So there's zero money to buy.
we don't know what the fund balance is at the present time because of the situation in the county. But,
Explain
okay. Situation is, we have a new auditor and they have not been able to balance the cash balances. So we don't know. What we do know is we probably went 3 million or as of the end of 2024, we had roughly and I don't have the exact numbers, $9 million in cash. Okay, of that 9 million, 3.5 is dedicated for other funds. It's unavailable to use. Okay. It's dedicated fees that came in that have to be used for the clerk's record management. Was fees that we charge every court case. There's $1.5 million in the bank to use that. The only thing we can spend that on is for records management, nothing else. The ARPA fund. Okay, there's about $3.5 million remaining in the ARPA fund. Okay, so that's in our cash. That's part of the dedicated fees that can't be spent for the general fund. So we're basically looking at around 6 to 8 million in our fund balance. And that's what I guess. I have to wait for the auditors to come out with what those real numbers are. And we kind of have to wait until the end of the year because we don't know what all the expenses will be. So we have roughly $6 to $8 million available in the general fund. And there's been a policy set that we will retain $6 million in the general fund to use for emergency. It's not going to be budgeted for anything. Okay, so we're down to 2 million. No, there is $6 million. Yes, it's for emergency. That is, it's kind of a 3 to 6. Well, that's the $3 million deficit is going into this next year. That's not what we're going to be spending that money for, is to go into deficit spending for this next year. It's for if we have some catastrophic event and shuts down the courthouse or shuts down something and we have to redo stuff, that is what the auditing firm recommends, is a 3 to 6 month cushion on monthly expenses. Okay, and that's what that 6 million is for. 3 to 6 month cushion. Actually, it's more like a 6 month cushion on expenses. So that's what the 6 million. So we technically only have $2 million that I see available in our fund balance and to spend on the Paul Michael building.
So,
I'm sorry.
sir,
So, but we're still moving forward with that plan, even though.
That has, at the moment, it's not in the budget.
So we abandon that.
Well, that is put on a workshop for Monday to decide if we're going to abandon that plan or not.
I mean, you understand my concern. You understand what the citizens' concern is going to be, talking about $3 million deficits, talking about $4 million buying a building, US road, 200,000.
Right.
For that, you understand, that's the confusion, that's gonna be the concern. That's why we're trying to. Buy a building that, my opinion, is very needed. Commissioner Hart, I agree with this, it's a great opportunity, it's one that we should seize. It's one that I personally think the county should, do a obligation of debt if they need to, because they're gonna spend twice as much of that to get a courthouse in the future. Just gonna pass that deadline to someone else down the line, but that's a big issue of confusion. And it's gonna be an issue of confusion in this courthouse for your elected officials and for your employees. So I think you're about to see a big dip in the morale if we don't get this figured out. Talking about we have to abandon 3%, we may not be able to get raises this year, but we're also thinking about escrowing $200,000 of money to a plan we're not even sure could come to fruition.
But you do, but you remember that the consensus of the folks that have said this is that we're not talking about abandoning 3%.
I know, but let's be honest, it's very bleak. You're asking us to cut another, I mean, y'all have gone and done the easy stuff, y'all said, and we're still down to $2 million. I submitted a reduced budget this year because I am conservative. I'm sure many of my other elected officials have done the same thing. They're conservative in what they're asking for. Yeah, it's an increase, but everything's increased. So if you're asking us to cut an additional $2 million, I mean, we really think that we can save, if we don't have money in the contingency fund, call it emergency, whatever, but to use that money, that the looks bleak.
I would be for using some of it.
Be in the situation today, you would be asking us to do this.
what I would like to know is, I came in to office being told we had $12 million in this fund that we could not touch unless it was an emergency. Now I'm hearing, if we're talking about the same deal, we don't have but 6 to 8 million in it. So what's happening here? Why are we down
It
to that?
was never 12 million that we couldn't touch. It's always 6 million.
The 6
Well,
million,
no, I know, but even when we were talking about purchasing started talking about, we had the 4.2 million that we could grab there and buy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we don't even have that. Because there was 6 million that we couldn't touch, but there was supposed to be 6 million more there too, from what I was told.
Right.
Well.
But most likely this fiscal year, because of the decisions made with the tax rate and the expenses that we added last year, that we're probably gonna be close to 3 million.
No, we were told that that money was there. That it was there. That's what we were told. We were told, we got 6 million that we can't touch, but there's 12 to 15 million. All total. That's what we were told. And we were told that we can't touch the 6 million, but there's 6.5, 7 million that we can use to buy the Paul Michael building.
What did Patillo use the number 15 the other day?
Yeah, that's what the outside auditor used.
That's what he used. So where has 8 million went? 7 million.
I'll have to go do research on that. I don't have exact numbers, so I'm not gonna try to.
I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, but I mean, I'm told one thing.
No, we're on the spot.
Now, here this is, we don't.
Yeah, and
I'd
just
like
a
to
month
hear
and a
what
half
the-
ago, he said-
I'd like to hear what the fire marshal, the fire marshal,
Has raised his hand.
fire marshal, you go right ahead. I'd like to hear it.
So can we just say, we don't know what the exact number is, but can we just say that theoretically, we have $6 million for an emergency situation? We'll just say that.
Yeah.
All right,
Mhm.
so what I heard was an emergency situation was for 6 months of funding of this government. We spend $6 million in 6 months.
No,
No, we spend more than our budget this year is $20 million nearly.
Yeah, so we would spend $6 million if we had.
Be for
I
like
guess
3
it's
months.
See that we need $6 million for 6 months.
So payroll, stuff like that for, that's what that's for. So if it was to get in.
If we had.
Wouldn't cover us for 6 months though.
It wouldn't even cover us for that 6 million
Maybe.
covers for 6 months.
Maybe
No,
over.
if the budget is 19, that's a third of the year. That's 4 months.
And that, so what emergency situations would cause that?
Tornado.
Okay, so there's lots of FEMA funding out there.
You don't get that till you pay, you don't
Yeah,
normally you get reimbursed for it.
We haven't even got FEMA from 2 years ago. We're still waiting on that.
It's solid business to have that money back. But if there's, in my mind, if there's 8 million. If there's 8 million, 8.5 million, I don't know why we couldn't use some of that too. To make up the difference on. that we're
well,
short.
here's the deal. If we leave the budget in a deficit situation, we face the exact same situation next year.
That's right. Because everybody
We
will
start out
have
with a deficit.
Yeah, everybody will have an increase in their budget. They're being quite true. You're right, Judge Martin. You are conservative. It is conservative, but we have a slimmer income this year than we had last year, and we know that. Even if we take the $6 million and we use 2 million of it this year, that only gives us 3 years before we have to actually do something. If we live within our revenue this year, then we are in a position next year where we still have the $6 million. And let's say we have some catastrophic issue related to the courthouse. If somebody comes in here and says that the courthouse is not habitable, we can't use this as an office space, we better have $6 million because we're going to need to come up with some kind of a plan.
And then do y'all consider any of the agencies that bring in revenue? So I guess so specifically, like in the projections for what we're gonna bring in, did y'all look at the projections of for the fire marshal's office, the money that they were gonna bring in, is that it?
The problem with that is there's no guarantee that money comes.
Well, I mean, also, there's a lot of governments not in the business of making money, and not every department or agency has the statutory mandate to collect. So it'd be unfair to just value the fire marshal's office towards a fee generator versus the constable's office.
Oh, I'm not.
Maybe not.
No, I'm not asking to judge differently, I'm just asking to, I understand it's not a zero sum game.
Yeah.
So if my office brought in $400,000 in a year, I would never ask for $400,000. Because I understand it's not a zero sum game. My point to that is, I don't know, what did y'all project that my office would bring in? So that maybe that buys the sheriff's office a vehicle, maybe that gets the constable his new vehicle. Does that make sense? That's the point that I was going at, because I do have some numbers on like projections as with to what this office, my office was gonna bring in. And I'm not saying like, that's mine, give it to me. You understand what I'm saying? That there's gonna be a buffer there that could actually go to other departments.
In other words, you're willing to give up some of that if needed.
We always have. I
Yeah.
went back and looked over 10-year historical data. This office has always, except for this year, has always been a budget surplus office. And that's the way it should be, because again, there are so many departments that do not generate revenue. And I'm very clear that it is not a zero sum game. I'm not asking anybody to value my office more than another. In fact, I'm saying that it can help other with the revenue that we do generate through legal fees that we collect. It can help fund some of these other offices.
We were taking y'all's money for years. At the county clerk's office, we were doing all that. Everybody was filing everything through us.
Yeah.
I guess what's difficult is, and I'll tell you, I watched the 9/5 meeting and I was disappointed at what I heard, because I felt like it put the elected officials in a position to believe that we are not living inside of our means. I told you, I submitted a 4% reduce outside of personnel, which you all agreed was going to be, y'all looking at 3 to 5%. Okay, so just looking at other costs, those are just the expenses of my office. I submitted cut, right? Increase 0% cut, that's good. Conservatively based on what I felt like we needed. And the things that elected officials have to budget on are not controlled by us. The things that we need to run our office are controlled by outside these walls. It's the cost of goods, it's the cost of services, it's the cost of professional services. I even made a comment about outside auditing. Well, I think everybody said it is what it is. Well, guess what? When I hire a contract legal defense attorney, it is what it is. So these costs of goods, these costs of services that we use to compile our budget, they're not in our control. It's what the market is demanding us to pay. And we're telling you this is what we have to have based on what their rates are, based on what the cost of goods are. They said that. Our vendors said that. And how did they set that? They said on how much is it going to cost to produce that good? How much is it going to cost to perform that service? The problem is what's going on outside of these walls that I don't think inside these walls are taken into consideration is that when they become more, you have to charge them more. We're keeping our tax rate flat. We're going backwards, and we've done it for years and years and years.
We're handcuffed.
For income,
The only way we can go higher in our tax rate than what we are is if there's an election.
not true. Just a year ago, we could have 42 cents.
But
And that can increase by 3.5% this year, and it did. I'm not saying it's this board, I'm saying year over year. This county has done, it's tried to pay the least amount of taxes, and I get that. I get that. No one likes paying taxes, I don't like paying taxes. I also can't crap about what I don't get for not paying my taxes. I'm gonna go live in the county and pay a higher tax rate and get more police officers, nicer cars, nicer jails, better EMS, all these things, I can go and do that. But I can't sit down here and expect to get those same level of services. They can't expect you commissioners to build nicer roads when they're not being taxed at what it costs to build a road, because just like me, you don't determine what the cost of gravel is. You don't determine what the cost of dirt is. You go through your buy boards, you get the best rates you can, but you don't determine that. But one of the key responsibilities of the commissioner's board is to set an appropriate budget and to set an appropriate tax rate. And that's the problem.
And I think that's what,
We've not set an appropriate tax rate based on what we need. And even this year, here we are talking about buying buildings, we're talking about making progress. We hung a sign outside, said debt free for years. And here we are with a low tax rate, and we're coming in here and telling you these are the cost of goods and services that we need to serve our citizens. This is what we need. This is not flow. This is not 10 pages of the Sears catalog. I told you when I did my budget thing, you know, as a kid, I knew when my mom and dad were making money, and I knew when they weren't. I knew when I got to go through the Sears catalog, and I knew when I didn't. Okay, and so this year, everyone's talking about going through the Sears catalog. What would you like? You know, what do you need? Right? We talked about that, and so why are we doing it different here? I don't understand. We're coming in here with the understanding that we have the ability to grow, that we're making progress, and then, hey, now we need to cut $3.5 million.
Well, I mean, we do agree that it's $2 million, don't we?
No, y'all already cut $1.5 million. Y'all said it was a $3.5 million deficit.
Right.
You've already cut some.
So you're,
Well, it's not my decision, but I'm saying y'all already beat it. I'm saying it's a 3.5. I'm saying.
well, I mean, that's what we're
we're.
pointing at. But I mean, so what your recommendation today is to take from take $3.5 million out of the $6 million reserve for this year's budget deficit.
I'm saying if we have money that we were set aside to fund a project that we obviously can afford, then yeah, we shouldn't be talking about it. And I'm a big advocate of it. I'm a big advocate of it.
I don't think we have that money.
The citizens would be benefited for that, but.
Yeah.
Yes,
Go ahead.
but
We were told by an outside auditor that we had $15 million.
Chris, look at that from.
Let me finish.
Hold on.
Let me finish. There were $6 million was untouchable. It was for, so we were like, we had enough money to buy the building. Then we came in last week and we were told we don't have it. So, you know, and it's not even inside the budget that he presented. Like that wasn't even in the thought process. Like we're just dealing with what's in front of us right here, not even the outside project, and we're $3.9 million in the hole. It had nothing to do with the Paul Michael building. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so if that $4.2 million was available, I would say scrap it.
Sure.
Y'all can have it. Like
Absolutely.
I know when you came in here, you were the first one, I think, one of the first officers that came before us. And when you walked out, I was like, that dude, Your Honor, runs a lean office. And I was impressed by that. And actually, I haven't seen anybody come in here that wasn't running a pretty lean office. I thought they were all, in my opinion, very conservative. So I understand what y'all are doing. And like, it's frustrating to me. I went to bed last night thinking, how did we get so confused on the numbers? Like, why is that? And I also understand the court before us put us in a bad position. Like, and I don't know why. Like they,
I think on the building, we got to look at it not through today's lens, but also through the future lens. If we decided to scrap that building, then when the opportunity comes that we are growing, even though the monetarily we're not, but our services are having to grow in people, where are you going to put them, number one? And number two, something has to be done with this courthouse. I mean, it's got to get restored, remodeled, or whatever. And if we're going to go out for another grant, we have to move somewhere.
I agree with you 100%. That's not the issue though. The issue is today you're talking about possibly cutting a raise for employees.
I don't think we're not talking about cutting. I think there's other places we can cut it besides the raises.
where?
To the tune of $2 million.
Well,
I mean, y'all led.
the
two big numbers have been talked about is the labor cost, which Commissioner Curtis is the one who control the lakes. Is labor cost and potential new positions.
I'm the lone wolf, I think, on this panel with this is the percent on the roads. I mean, if you went down to, let's just say 22%, that's $142,000 per precinct. That's a mile and a half of road for me.
That doesn't get you halfway there.
142 times 4. Okay,
It's 600,000.
but it gets you, that puts a pretty big dent in it right now.
That puts us to about 1.3, 1.4.
If you went down to 20%, which I'm not suggesting a percent, but I suggest we do something. You're looking at if you went down to 20%, be 237,000 a precinct. That's almost $1 million right there. And to your point, what you said a while ago, everybody wants these services, but yet our tax rate is so low. You know, if we don't have the money, we don't have the money, and this is what we don't get. We don't get 2 miles of road.
Well, that's what I'm saying, we don't buy new courthouse, we don't plan for that, I mean. You know, if I can afford my mortgage and I have 10 kids, they're gonna all be piled up on top of each other in the ring. I can only feed them, but I can feed them, they're gonna stay where they sleep. I'm saying, I don't understand why we are going through the motions of trying to plan for something that we cannot afford. If we're talking about not maybe being able to make. We're not able to increase, we're not able to keep up with the world on the cost of inflation at 3%, when it is 3%. We're talking about that being at risk or at jeopardy. I don't know how we can plan to move somewhere else. I do want to move. I want this. I believe it's important. I looked at the numbers. It's a wise move for the county. But if we can't afford it, we can't afford it. I don't, you all asked me, I probably didn't think it was going to come back funny like this, but you all asked if I sat there. Paul knocked the building a raise, Paul knocked the building a raise. And what did I say?
Right.
So they want the Paul knock the building, but what?
Right.
Raise, because what's more important? And you all have said it. Y'all all have said it. People are the employees who are trying. Y'all said it repeatedly, and I couldn't agree with you more. You understand better than most that your employees are the people that are providing services that's making expands income great, I think. And so we have to protect that. You said Paul Michael building or increase the retirement. Increase the retirement because it goes to the people, right? So I understand that, but I don't know why and today I'm even more confused. It sounds like we don't even have the money to do it if we don't know that we have.
All right,
I
here's
do agree in planning. I do agree it needs to be done, but it's hard to swallow that where I'm being asked to, I gotta cut an additional 15% when I'm already cut. I gotta cut 16% when I'm already cut 4. That's just hard, it's hard to swallow. I mean, how does that make sense?
I agree with you on the trade day property that if we're looking ahead, that's we have to do that if we're looking ahead. But at the same right, but at the same time, the question has come up, do we reapply for the grant to redo the courthouse? Well, if we don't have the money to do that, we're not gonna have the money because that grant's not gonna pay for all of this courthouse. We know that. So I feel like that if that was in the budget, figured in the budget right now, which it's not, but now we're finding out we don't have the money in the cash reserve or whatever you call it to do that, then we need to scrap that and we need to scrap trying to redo the courthouse from there. Because I mean, I know the courthouse needs some repairs, which we probably could figure in a few here and there, like we have in the past. So I feel like that if we can't find out what happened to the money or where it's, if we've got into it this past year because we did not increase it, the taxes, then I feel like that this commissioner's court is on the right path to take it to the max of what we're allowed to try to recoup some of it. But I'm sitting here looking at the last 5 years and it's went down like we went over a while ago from 58% to 39%. Well, there's no gain there in my eyes, and I think that wasn't a smart move. I'm not criticizing anybody, not pointing any fingers. It is what it is. So with that being said, if we had to go back, because the phone calls I was talking about a little bit ago of me getting from my people in my precinct is all about the roads. They have this over here doesn't mean anything to them. And they all think that they are paying the highest price taxes in a 100-mile radius. And I try to explain to them, no, you're not, you're paying the cheapest. Well, they don't see that. So all of my phone calls and my criticism on Facebook and all is because of my roads. Brandon goes back to the percentage of dropping the percentage. I'm 100% against that. Although I know it's only fair for us to decrease it if we're gonna ask everybody else to decrease it, because that is the only way for us to give back. Because if we just cut what we asked for above our budget, it's not gonna benefit the county.
So you all look at all of our budgets on, what are you all suggesting? Are you all just asking us to volunteer to cut things?
I would love for that to happen versus us having to come to you and say, you have to cut.
What would you
But-
suggest?
Well, I haven't looked over your budget or.
We're just asking for ideas.
Yeah, cause I don't wanna be the bad person. I know these guys here don't. But unless we get help from each department, and I know you've already come back with, what'd you say, 4% less than it was last year? And I appreciate that. And I agree with Mitch, what he said about you a while ago. I thought you done a great job when you came in. But if we're not willing to give up some on our own, then it's gonna force us to be hated by y'all.
Can I ask a question?
Can I say this? Are you asking us to volunteer to not give the 3% to our employees?
No,
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 you
no,
have to take that.
no.
We're asking for we're asking for help. We need some advice. What are
You're
y'all?
not asking us to come in here and say, we're willing to give up raises.
No.
No, sir.
You're the only one that's talked about giving up
I'm-
raises.
and I'm moving
I
up.
haven't.
I'm
I
moving up
haven't.
here.
I,
I'm moving
and
up
I don't
here.
think that it,
This is it. As a group, that was the first thing that was spoken, and not by me, but these are.
I can tell you that I didn't say anything about giving up
No,
raises.
sir.
And I told you, and that's the third time that I've mentioned to you, I'm not talking about giving up raises. I'm not asking you to give up raises. I don't think it's the right thing to do.
I said it earlier in this meeting that I felt like that we did not need to give that up because I felt like that our people needed that and we needed that.
Well, I mean, it's,
Right.
hey, if it ain't there, it ain't there. Okay, so I'm just gonna ask a question, like, do we have the 6 million?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay.
Well,
This is the auditor's report. This is the 15 million we're referring to, which is not cash. It is a combination of accounts and property taxes and receivable. This is the outside auditor's report end of the year. The actual cash that we had was 13.546 million. Of that amount, you had the 4 road and bridge departments had $4 million. Okay, you had ARPA of another $4 million. So you take $8 million out of 13, and what does that give you? $5 million. That's what we have available to buy the Paul Michael building. Now, of that 5 million, there is roughly 2 million that is dedicated to other funds that can't be spent but for those funds. So that's the situation we're
Say that
in.
again. So we have 3 million?
Probably 3 million.
There's your money.
Well, and that would be, again, I don't know until the auditor's department provides those numbers, but I don't know.
5 million available. And 3 of those.
That was as of the end of, that was as of October 1st. What we don't know is how much we gone into the fund balance with the spending that was done in this last fiscal year.
Look, that 3 million's available.
But 2 of the 5 are dedicated. Oh my.
I don't have those exact numbers, but I do know, just in the records management, there's 1.4 million in there that can't be spent, but for anything like that. So you're looking at, a lot of that 13 million right there, it's dedicated for other things. So it's not actually available. I'm not saying we lost it, but it's dedicated for other things. And we don't know where we stand after this year, how much we've gone into the fund balance. So that's the other thing. The other thing is you can't expect departments to do a 15% cut in expenses unless they go into their personnel costs, because majority of departments, 70 to 80% of their expenses are personnel. That's the bottom line.
We were
So,
talking about the previous.
well, I'm just saying you can't say 15%.
Yeah, we are not.
I don't.
We- Yeah,
If you're not gonna give the 3%, just say, we cannot afford to give the 3%, it's not there, so we go back and tell our employees.
Well, I'm not French and we can stop saying we because we are not there yet.
But I'm saying, that's what we're going.
But
Based around it.
if there's
Yeah.
if there's $3 million excess right there in that budget, that would be allocated to the Paul Michael building, that solves all the problem.
It doesn't really solve all the problems in my estimation. I mean, I don't want to, I think you should live within your means, period. I mean, that's what we have to do at home, you know,
It'll solve it for this year.
but this year,
Yes, sir.
To noon?
So we wasted half of our time, well, not wasted, the discussion is good. But we do need to solve the problem, and we need to take steps forward. I think that it makes it a lot easier for us as, elected officials, department heads, when we can get y'all to meet us on y'all's budget as well. There's some areas in my budget that I can make some cuts, but I don't think that it equates with me. But there's obvious areas and it means nothing when I say, you know, I can go without postage in the coming budget. But that doesn't, we're only talking $500 there. I have an office equipment line item that, for a project that I can cut in half and extend. That, you know, so that's $1,000, $1,500 altogether. I assume that you've already, taken my vehicle for the projected year out, and, I assume that you're going to take the proposed new hire out also, is that correct?
The vehicle's still in there, the new hire is not.
Okay, so the new hire is understandable, while, I believe in rotating the vehicle, I can go with another year, but that puts everybody else, behind a year also. I don't know what, I could go 4 or 5 a year for my, so I think Tommy's after me, and I don't know what his mileage is, but I can go another year. I can go another year, so that's 87.5. There. So 87.5 and another 1,500 out of mine.
Well, I was gonna address this with you, and that has to do, and in fact, this needs to be addressed countywide, and that is the cost of vehicles, especially the cost of Tahoes, because Tahoes have increased 3 times this year so far, okay? So, when Tommy got his in 2023, the truck that he bought, $55,094, that was the cost of the truck. And then in 2024, when Jeff, thank you, got his was 64,975, and that was outfitted. Okay. I don't think Tommy's shows outfitting. And then in 2025, Heath was, and this is not outfit. You've been, what, I got 52,000.
That was the truck.
Right. The outfitting amount hasn't shown up in the,
It was 16,000 outfitted.
right. So,
So my truck went down actually in 2 years, but I got the exact same truck on it.
right. So I'm just saying, you know, we can't keep buying Tahoes. That's the bottom line. We need to, we need to, you know, figure out alternatives to what, because of the cost increase in the vehicles themselves and what can be used and the outfitting. And it's just because, you know, when I started in 2023 and Sheriff Carter was buying Tahoes, there were 38,000 each. Okay. Now they're over 55. And the outfitting was about 12,000, and now it's close to 20. in a lot of cases. And that's not counting cameras. The cameras are even separate. So, you know, we need to seriously consider what, you know, what the county goal is on, vehicle purchases in that regard.
So there's no, I mean, for my budget, well, the proposed, I was gonna have to buy a pickup truck. And, you know, they came back with a really high dollar figure for the upfitting, but I had gotten to the point of moving that down. That's why I'm not working, the number that they came back to.
Was it still gonna exceed 87,000?
It was not going to.
Okay,
No, I was gonna come in under budget, but I can't tell you for sure how much, because I never got to a real number with the upfitting. But when I went through their proposal, there were things there that I didn't ask for, that I didn't want, that was overpriced, and I knew that there were
Okay.
other sources at a cheaper rate that were thousands of dollars. But their original proposal was like 28,000 for the other thing. Well, that wasn't going to work. It was gonna have to be 120.
right.
And, you know, I looked at both before and the Chevrolet pickup. And not to get too far out into the weeds, but that's the thing, it's cheaper than the Tahoe. Tahoe to me is not an option, number one, you could get the color you want, even if you could find a Tahoe, because you weren't buying larger numbers.
Right.
And they're only making so many, so, but, you know, I'm at 50,000 miles on the vehicle that I have. I can wait a year without any trouble. So to take the 87.5 out of my budget, take 1,000 out of, the office equipment project that I had going on, leaving 1,000. And then take my post.
Would you like us to email you what we believe that we could produce even further? And just, that way you can see what we believe we can give up even more of. As elected official, that we all just email you that, and then let you see what that number is, and then we need to come together again. This is what we've voluntarily given up, put you in a position that's, I guess, where we can. I mean, it's hard for you to understand, you know, like, great, I'm like, I can, you know, because indigent legal defense, I'm not able to cut translators. I had to work with that. That's easy for me to know, difficult for you to unless you could. You want, would it be helpful for all of us to just keep?
Yes, that would be helpful from the standpoint. If we're gonna keep maintain the 3% increase. If we get the department budgets, the departments to come back, but I don't know that we're gonna get $2 million. I don't know that it's possible to get $2 million.
But isn't that, what if we make that
Yeah,
effort?
yeah.
Appreciate us trying to be leaner.
Right.
On costs that we don't really control, that maybe we just don't buy things that we need.
Right.
Try to figure out how to work without it, I like, Austin Weaver said.
Right.
And I think they would appreciate that, because it works to the end of keeping them compensated and helping them buy them.
Well, and the issue we have is every elected official department head takes a different view as to whether or not I'm gonna cut. Okay,
I think we're gonna have to, if we want to keep it 3% raise.
and that's
what it's down to.
that's right.
Commissioner Williams is saying, he's totally, that's not what he said, but you're saying that everybody's going to take a cut, but he'll keep it 3% raise.
Right, that's
Because it's the biggest chunk of our budget.
right.
So what I'm saying, at the end of the day, you would know who's willing to cut and who's not.
Well, and what I'm saying is I don't want everybody to go through this process and offering to cut if not everybody's gonna participate. You follow what I'm saying?
Won't you anything to them, they're gonna have to.
But if
Exactly.
that's the situation, if that's the situation, then I would posit that you should be meeting with us today, and you should just go make your cuts and tell us how.
What you have
I
said.
mean, look, this isn't really productive. If we're gonna do all that, you're gonna have to cut, then just go cut. I mean, it's your job, it's your responsibility. If you say this is what we're gonna have to do, this is what we have to do, we just live with it. It's,
Mhm.
I think y'all made an analogy of parents and children the other day. That's kind of what it is. And when you tell us what we have, what we don't have, that's what it's gonna be, then just do that. I don't wanna go through there and spend the time, effort, and give my employees hope that, hey, if we cut another 10% out of here.
Right.
There's a good chance you can do it. If it's not really feasible, then just tell us how it is and those are all being able to be done and. That's just awesome.
Judge?
So I disagree just a little bit. So I'm sorry I'm late. The JP, we all had stuff planned. I got here when I could, I made a list for y'all. But I just wanted to say, as far as the JPs, the bottom half of my budget that I control is $8,500. Okay. And I bet if you go back 20 years and look at my budget, I bet it was about 8,000. Okay. And so there's some things in that budget that they just can't cut. Like we have state obligations, like if you cut certain things, we're gonna be in violation, you know? And so, so the JP, I mean, I'm sure we're all willing to make a few cuts, but I don't think we can get 15%. I'm like, we'll look through that number.
And that's what my concern was. And that's why I said, you know, I would like to have the department heads, because you have the knowledge of your specific department, as you mentioned before, Judge Martin, that we don't. Where can you? You can't really, you know, if you're in a bind on court reporters, you have to pay a court reporter, or this county, the court system comes to a complete stop. So that's what my hope was, is that you guys know your departments better than we do.
Sound good. Reese says, I'm gonna help. So I think a difference in.
No, I'm not saying it's not gonna help. I'm just saying, I don't know that we can get 2 million if we don't do something about personnel.
But it also sends my office a bad message when I hear commissioners say, well, I have nothing in my budget cut. Well, you know, I mean, so, you know, as a leader, you got to lead by example too, and we all really don't have enough to give up, I understand, and anything, you know, I had to close my office one day because I don't have the money to open it, then yeah, I'm gonna be on Facebook, slam, I'm gonna get 15 phone calls. That's hard, but I mean, you know, if we're gonna have to take these cuts, you know, then everybody's gonna participate. I mean, I feel like to get there, because really, I mean, I think all four JPs, but everything we could cut, we're gonna maybe save you $5,000. I mean, there's not much there.
Start the hunt, so I feel like road, bridge, and our usually start there. And then we, as elected officials, will follow open whatever we can, where it's not mandated. And I think we can do that.
Well, if you're willing to do the 20%, I realize that's what 237,000. And
20%.
The contribution
5%
of the county, yeah.
Is that right?
It's 25,000, it's 25% now, and you're talking about if we would cut down to 20% contribution from.
It would be approximately 237,000.
That'd be more than that.
237
Per person.
And so that would be, how many total road miles in the county's road system?
That's about 1,100.
And so-
Actually, there was a chart that has,
He's wanting to know how many that would build.
So you would be shorting, yourself being able to build 3 miles of road?
When we're only allowed, when we only have figured in that we can do 6 or 7 a year, we're gonna cut it 50%. And I'm not against us, like you said, I'm not against that. We have to give some too. But at the same time, you know, when I can only build roughly 6 or 7 miles of road a year, and then now you ask me to give up 50%. You know, are you willing to give up 50% of your budget?
Well,
You know, if you're,
but
I mean, I can't do
what
it.
I'm talking about, you know, so our proposed part-time deputy is 37.5. An 87.5 vehicle and another 15,000.
I know what you're saying.
$126,000 that I could potentially pass in my budget.
Well, that would be half of that, your employee would only be half. Is that what you figured it at, or did you
No,
figure
so
it?
it was, so the proposed employee was 37.5.
So you would have half of that.
Well, what I'm saying now,
People
the
have
proposed budget would be $126,000.
Yeah.
Savings. I mean, am I wrong? Or-
no, you're correct. Correct. And it's not 37.5, it's 37.5 times 1.17. Because to get the total benefit cost.
But,
Right.
but for round numbers. I'm just saying, if I, you know, if I can get up to 126,000. And my budget wasn't that big to start.
Judge Reese, can I I don't know if we can get our sheets, I don't have the newest sheets with the little specs there, but if I can get my sheet back. And I could go there and look and see what I can do to cut it 14 to 20%.
Okay.
And you know, the 15% was before any cuts were made. It would, when we're talking about just the 2 million, that's a little less than 10%.
Now, mine has changed a couple of times, so I just.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but I mean, just general broadcast, folks, we're not looking for folks to target 15%. You know, if our actual target is 9.5%, for example.
well, I mean, I might try to.
Right.
I don't know that I can, but maybe I try to cut 20% because like Judge Shin was saying, he can only legally cut 7. If the number is 15%, we can't say that's 15% across the board. Because there's legal obligations that people have to fill. So maybe Judge Shin can only cut his 9, but I made 3% of that up by cutting it 18%.
Yes, sir.
Does that make
Yes, sir.
sense? So if I can get a, this is what y'all are looking at right now,
Mm.
and if you would allow me to make some of the decisions, even on personnel. As far as what I requested, if you could let me try to make the decisions on what is cut and what's not, and present that to you.
That's it.
Because I'll be able to give you options. Option
That's what he
A,
was saying.
B, C.
That's what he started. That's what he wanted to do. That's why y'all are here.
Yeah, so can we get to that part?
Well, we've also be able to look at how much money we're giving back, and that'd be a number 2. Everybody's gonna be looking at cutting, and we could also look at this year, at the end of the year, how much money we have not used. And be given back. As well, would that be a factor as well?
And the judge was talking about, and Susan was talking about starting with us, cutting back. I've already cut 250,000 off of my material proposal. I had asked for 2 more employees. I cut it back to 1. I was told I couldn't have that 1, so I've cut back 2 employees.
Every year.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's not like the commissioners, as far as the road and bridge but Brandon will come back in when I get through and say, that's not affecting the general budget unless we do that percentage. But
How'd you know I say that?
I just know you, because you don't like me.
Just the very beginning of the meeting, but. Or we don't have numbers because we changed auditors this year, is that the reason?
That has something to do with it, they say, but
The
tax.
only talking about 6 months without, coming up 6 months.
Yeah.
So, this didn't go to hell, I came back.
No,
Y'all looking
no.
at last October numbers. Right now, we're in October, year. We really have no idea what we're at. I mean, how in the world are you budgeting? Are we even budgeting for this year without knowing where we ended up?
No, we do that every year. We don't know where we're at every year. All we know is what our year-to-date expenses are, and that's pretty much it. I mean, we have records. We have records. What we don't have is an overall picture of where we are cash wise.
That's the only way you need it.
We have to budget the total opposite of the way we should be budgeting.
Well, I heard, when I listened to I heard you say that, we don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. The auditor's office may know, but I don't know because I can't figure out how to get there with the fund-based accounting, the way we work it. Yeah, I don't want to give the impression that we're in any kind of financial trouble. We're not. Okay, the money is there and we're earning interest off of it, but I can't tell you what the total amount is related to the purchasing the building and things like that. But what I do know is most of that, the 13 million that we're showing is dedicated to something else. It's not readily available, and the readily available amount in the fund balance that can be used is, I don't know.
So the new auditor,
Yes.
So he should have, or she, or whoever it is, can look in how much money's been spent out of everybody's budget up to this year, right?
Well,
To this point.
I'm able to do that right now.
Okay, so
We
you're
got,
able
we
to-
got the
so you're
reports
able
to show.
How much has been spent?
That is
And
correct.
how much is left to be spent, so that there's only what, 20-something days left?
That is correct.
And he said he has these statements up there.
So you'll be able to look.
I've got
How
them.
much money's gonna be sent back or put back?
I've got it right here. But when you say put it back,
Or
we-
not spent.
we,
Budgeted for.
right. But even then, when the budget, last year's budget was going 2 million in the hole, all that money being put back to do is going to reduce the deficit we already budgeted for last
So
year.
last year, we're about being 2 million in the hole.
Apparently not,
We're about,
because
But now that's a new court this year.
you're right.
Let's get that correct.
We're not going 2 million in the hole.
Think that you should use savings to fix this problem, because that's what we did last year.
It's unsustainable.
I agree, Constable. I agree.
I'm sorry, I didn't,
If the.
we
if the-
shouldn't use what?
We shouldn't use the fund balance to cover
Oh,
our deficit.
definitely. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking
No,
about
I was just explaining what the constable was saying.
it. Okay.
So, but basically, we're at where we started this meeting still.
Yes. And we are scheduled to have a public hearing on the budget tomorrow in Commissioner's Court to approve the budget. And so obviously we're not going to do that. So we will have to move it to the next Commissioner's Court, which would be on the 24th or possibly another day. So I just want to lay that out there. But I'm comfortable with that because I would rather get everybody's buy-in and see where we're going and get there first. And it's going to take a little bit more work to do that.
I'm willing to go down the bare minimum line. I had no employees, but I don't want somebody else to suffer that needs the employees,
Right.
just because I want something more in my budget.
I'm willing to go to the same as I had this year. Well, I can't remember how much mine was increased, but whatever mine is this year, but it goes back to what Bobby said I was gonna say. It means nothing if we don't change percent.
Yeah, I think I pulled mine back to what I had this year, actually less. I think I lessened mine because I lost an employee. And I went back to the original, almost everything was lower actually. In some, it might have been a little higher, but I will. But it's not gonna make any difference.
But are we gonna go?
I'm not going down to
20%.
20%. I'm not going down to 20% on that.
I didn't say 20, I said a percent.
Somebody said 20.
I,
That scared me.
That was just conjecture.
Can we come to an agreement on what that amount would be? That would make it a whole lot easier going into preparing for this next phase.
26.
Goes back to that.
24%
You're going the wrong
would take
way.
47,000 out.
Go back.
23 would take 94, 22 would take 142, 21, 189, 22, 37.
I won't go less than 23. That's my vote.
My vote was 22, or not my vote, my opinion was 22.
I can't pull it up without scrolling to the next page. It's down.
That's fine.
It's down there on there.
And I really don't want to give that up, but it's not fair. Like it's, I get it.
What'd you say? How much? Mitch?
I wouldn't go below 23 or, yeah, below 23.
I said 26. I know, it's frustrating, isn't it? Like it's,
Cause I know what's gonna happen after this meeting. If I said that.
oh, I'm already getting
down at
skinned out
20,
right now.
I'd be,
This is what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to my office, I'm gonna email you line item by line item, what I believe could be. Even more, just with the understanding, I think we all mentioned this in the previous meeting a while ago, probably in budget workshops. That if we go ultra conservative, that should we go over that because something unforeseen happens, that we're not gonna be punished We have to come back and ask for emergency.
We-
transfer.
We did say that. We did say that.
So, so I'll give you an example, like my indigent legal aid, I think I submitted 312,500. I have to plan for something, kind of capital murder, that's gonna cost, $9,000 more. Obviously, that's not gonna happen every year, so it's a budget. So in the year, probably like this year, I'm gonna be giving a lot of that back. Unless we go towards last year's deficit, I can go ahead and make that exactly what I know I'm gonna spend on my contract lawyers. And maybe another 5,000 more than that to reduce that budget, but. If the capital murder rolls in, I'm not able to use my contract attorneys, I'm gonna be coming in saying I've got a problem. I
Yeah.
want to support
That-
the court saying, we understand what the problem is, I don't want people to think I'm creating the problem by not planning for it, finding.
To say more to that, we said, when we said that you could come back to us if it was within reason. And I think that we are all agreement, that we agree that if you came back in that situation, there would not be a problem. You know what I'm saying? I think that needs to be said, because there's gonna be people that comes back with stuff that may not be necessary.
Sure, yeah, and that would be something that I agree with you, that'd be reasonable.
Right.
You know, one of the exceptions in the public is you're having to come back to the commissioner's court all the time and move money and do all this, people are gonna say, oh, this too much money.
Right.
You're not a good
But-
manager.
But really and truly, I think that all of you are smart enough and good managers with your money that we won't see much of that. I really believe that I believe in you guys. Huh?
I don't think would. Seems like we were very agreeing on that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go, the degrees. But that's what I'm saying, and then you'll know, hey, we got that available, I'll tell you what I can't cut, like the Shin said, you take mandate, I can't, plus that, at least you'll know what it is. It'll be helpful.
You take into consideration, sure, about the issue.
No, what I'm giving back is paying down debts in last year, but. Doesn't help them, I work. I can tell you what, maybe I'll say I'm not extending this year, and just so you'll know how that works.
So let me ask a hypothetical before we leave.
So here's here's that chart.
If this was a private entity, your own private business, what would you do?
I raise the revenue.
I budget
Yeah.
for the problems. And when it did happen, I got extra money, I wouldn't under budget, they didn't have panic mode. Try to pay for
I'd probably go home.
I would set my cost of good or my cost of service and what's the market like, based on the quality that I provided. And that's gonna be based on how much it's gonna cost me to produce it, considering outside economic and social factors.
Yep. And for the public, they're listening, you're exactly right. What they're doing out there is they're adjusting, hey, we gotta raise the price. So everything is costing more. And with county government, it's just the opposite. We got to lower the price when everything else is going up. And you ain't gotta be a mathematician to figure out that don't work. And that's what we're stuck with.
Well, our cost is at or above inflation, on almost everything, in excess of 6.2% on the annual. And labor is not only the biggest part of that, but it's the back on everything. So with private entities, I mean, motivation of your sales force and thus your production force in the private sector would be paramount. You can't cut loose people and you can't short them, you're gonna have to motivate them.
If we were a public sector, we would go under because we don't want to give raises. Well, then those employees are going to go to those employees who are paying out there, which is the other counties who have a lot more money than we do. So you have to do that. I mean, it's a no-win situation.
But I do think a lesson to be learned going forward would be, and the problem with the commission, of course, is you get a lot of turnover. Churn and lose experience and historical data, but I think the lesson to be learned is, by trying to be making unpopular decisions and not increase taxes, you would be actually probably disservice to your constituents in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year. Or whoever sits in your chair the next time, so, you know, I think that has been done historically. You talked about it, we've all addressed it going back 20 years ago. You got out of the courthouse, got such a statement just prepare. And I think that's the lesson that we learn going forward, starting with this court is, let's be mindful that next year, let's go with voter approval rate and understand this is how much money we had last year, this is how much we expect to have this year. What are our needs? And let's set a reasonable tax rate based on what we need to produce, and those needs are reasonable. We have to do because, like you said, which are a private business, and when they can decide if they want to continue offering a good or service. Accounting, you can't say, well, we're not gonna offer you police services, we're not gonna offer you fire services, we're not gonna offer you indigent legal, indigent health, clerk services. You don't have that option. Those are unfunded mandates, you know, that the state puts on us, so we don't have that.
And I was on that court last year. And I remember voting for it. I was like, was that the right? I don't know if that's right. And I wish I knew then what I know now, because I know everybody doesn't agree with me, but that's the one big mistake I think I've made. The biggest mistake I made on a decision was that decision right there.
Well, and I wish I had thought more about what was actually happening to question it and to demand that we make a determination of what it was costing us.
You live and you learn.
Yeah.
We all make mistakes. I made more than my fair share. I probably more mistakes. By decision, but try to learn from them. So I appreciate that. You see the wisdom in decisions today versus a year ago. Sometimes you don't know the impact of your decisions play out. But I think that's the lesson we learn. Obviously, I'm going to do my part as everyone here is going to do our part to help make it work for not only our employees but also for the citizens. And I understand the situation that you're in. It's a tough one. You know, you feel like you always get, you know, the short end of the stick on all of these things, but that's why you get paid the big bucks, and that's what you signed up to do. So, unfortunately, that's just part of it, but
That's half true.
I know that.
I agree with the signing up, but I don't agree with the big pay.
Well, it was bigger. We're about to
Yeah.
but I sympathize with and empathize really with your situation.
So my question is, have we already decided we're taking the sheriff's new vehicles?
I don't think we've decided anything.
Please don't decide that, something.
Well, we're having a window closed on us where we're gonna have to make some decisions.
Yeah,
All right.
I think everybody needs to get their budget sheets
Be done.
and get
All right,
distribute
if
to
the
everybody.
sheriff-
If they show up, we go. If they don't show up, make a decision for them. If they do show up, then
Give us a deadline so I can tell the other JPs.
Tomorrow. No.
It shouldn't take that long. You shouldn't take that long.
We have scheduled another budget workshop for Friday. Friday. So if you can get them to me on Thursday,
Hope that'll be too long.
okay, that would be great. Yeah.
Just trying to understand, so the fire marshal's office through legal fees and services is gonna bring in somewhere around $400,000. Right? So it's gonna be more next year, but I.
Right, we got that number in right here. Let's go verify your number.
Right now, we're at,
This road and bridge.
right now, we're at $378,086.35 right now today.
Election.
Collections, collected. That's why I say around 400 by the end of the fiscal year. So why,
All right, there's your there is your money right there. There's what actually that is the amount as of August the 23rd.
that's what I'm saying as of today, because I'm texting Michelle right now, who has as of August 31st, $378,086.35. So my question is, why is it that just like the tax rate, why isn't that a part of what we're gonna bring in as a county? I'm not saying for my office, I'm saying to the
It's an
county,
unknown, I guess.
but I know.
I don't understand your question. Why isn't that what?
Budgeted, why isn't it put in?
Why isn't that money put in the budget?
So you want me to put actually, your budget was 175. I budgeted 210 for next year. I increased your budget,
No, not budget, but
Revenue.
revenue.
He wants to know he wants to know why his revenue is not put in to the budget to show that
For the
that's
county.
what we're gonna have.
It is. It is. The revenue you collect is used to pay the expenses from the fire marshal's account.
I understand that, but not all, like, all, the OSSF goes into the, from my understanding, goes into the general fund. Has been in the past.
OSSS right there. OSF fees and fines.
But where does it go?
That's not the general fund right there. That is a
its
specialized
own
fund.
account.
That is a own count right there. And
Basically, just go see what you can cut. And then we'll see what we can cut.
yeah, you can discuss it with the auditors department because I have these issues too.
We don't want to be the ones,
apologize.
I don't want to be the one to tell you what you have to cut because I don't understand what you go through every day.
But are we all in agreement if we're asking them to cut something? We need to cut something.
Yeah, I'm fine with you cutting some.
I can make something work.
Cause I think that's hypocritical, so if we're doing that.
Well, I need to know before we go to the next one on Friday. Are we gonna, are you all in agreement or that 23%?
I think you should give us our budget or the sheet that we got with. Let us look at it like they're gonna look at theirs and then we discuss it Friday.
Okay,
I don't have
No matter what happens, from my perspective of being a newly elected official, I appreciate being part of this.
oh, I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
and if y'all can get the word out, the more we're here Friday, it would be better.
Well, they better have it all done by Friday.
That's what I'm saying, though, but if they were here, they could hear what we were doing.
Well, and I will, the way I've set it up, if I can get my mouse over here, I'll show you the fire marshal budget right here. Any changes that I made or that we made, the commissioners court made is shown in a green box. Okay, and that's kind of the green text or the red text in several of them are different other changes that were made in certain situations. So that's what the changes would be.
Is that online for us?
That is now online, yes. It is it's on the front page of the yes. And if you go up to the there's this tab, this thing called a tab right here. This one's not working, but it will take you to the one that's but the expense worksheets is what it is. It'll take you into each one. So
Well, just to get clear in my mind on it, Judge, like, so you're right now, you're not going out for a quote to fix the windows in the courthouse?
I have a budget workshop on Monday
Okay.
to tell me move forward or not.
But you took the money out of your budget.
I took half the money out. I got 200,000 left.
Okay.
And you know, if we gotta take it all out, then I'll do that. I'll get them to work up the RFP and then just give it to us and not send it out. And then whenever we come. So,
Okay.
all right. Thank y'all for coming. I appreciate the input. All right. That concludes our meeting at 11:04. We will see you on Friday.
You said you want to go to 20%, what you said?
You don't see that over there.
I heard you say it. I'm not holding to it.
No, I wrote the thing down that I think about.
But the one I said, so I don't.
I know, I don't want it on there.
I don't either. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Okay.
You can do it, no, I can't.
Okay, all right.
So
I appreciate it. Thank you, Bob.
I'll get with you,
Thank you, sir.
Hey, I was gonna ask you, can some of the election expenses go down since you've got two entities that are willing to pay for the early voting locations?